Alright guys, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to this community showdown. It's going to be Grand Cathay led by Leechlord facing off against Slaanesh, who's going to be helmed by Bagosh here on the battle for Itza. And this is indeed a tournament grand final, so taking a look at the Grand Cathay build, it's going to be Jade Warriors backed up by Halberds. And I do like the single piece here of the Grace of Kuai Yin. So these guys, of course, hit very hard. They do magic damage, which is great against demons, good against Forsaken with their armor piercing, and only having one, range unit to protect is certainly very, very nice. If Slaanesh wants to get them, dive them, they're going to pay a bit of a, a price for that. So aside from that, we do have a Junk up in the sky. Junks are very, very good in this matchup, and that's been kind of the meta for Grand Cathay against Slaanesh for some time, is basically just using Junks. And, often you see a Junk and 2 Lanterns, or maybe double Junk. They'd park on one objective and just value trade there. And yeah, it's also going to be Yuan Bo, the Jade Dragon. Really cool to see him getting a little bit of play here. Now, what's really nice about him is he's a scalpel against the Mask. So if the Mask moves into your formation, he's got 3,000 more HP. He's a much better fighter. He does magic damage. And he can also net the Mask in place and take away the one big advantage that Slaanesh does have, which is, of course, their mobility. And what do we have? Jade Shield and the other spell Transformation. And yeah, so it's just going to be Jade Shield and nets. So looking at the armies of Bagosh, it is going to be a whole bunch of Slangors. Slangors, of course, will take some damage from some of the shooting, but also the Jade Warriors will trade okay into them. Although I feel like a Slangor would probably beat a Jade Warrior, just because of the bonus versus infantry and the high stats and phys res, but I guess it depends if they get the charge and if Harmony's in play. If Harmony's in play, it could be a bit of a different paradigm, but yeah, a good, annoying, fast unit. Forsaken, Fiends of Slaanesh to deal with armor, and there is a Sorcerer of Slaanesh in the back, who is going to be using Slicing Charge, which is very, very good against Cathay formations. So out of the gates, classic Grand Cathay going to be yielding all 3 objectives here because their build isn't really designed to get a quick objective jump. And against Slaanesh, it's super risky anyways. Between their fast mobility, Hellstriders, Fiends, I mean, even their infantry are almost like 60 movement speed here, these damn Slangors. All right, so the Rocket's red glare, bombs bursting in air, shooting into the Slangors here. These guys going to be losing 9 models out of the gates, as the Grand Cathay army is going to be waddling over towards Objective 3, posturing down and just kind of, putting their feet down and getting ready to play that slow pushing style that Grand Cathay is known for. Forsaken, down to 69 models, the blessed number of the Dark Prince. And over here on this side, the Fiends of Slaanesh going to be getting a nice charge. A bit of a lapse in micro there, but I suspect a net's going to be going down on these Fiends, followed up by Halberd and countercharging from these Jade Lancers, which would be very, very good, but it looks like he's going to be opting to save his magic. I think that could have been a good play, and he does do it just a little bit late. And the Halberd's going to be trying to close the distance, and it's going to be netted for 14 seconds. But more importantly, it's netted in range of the Graces of Kuai Yin, which, yeah, this is actually the tournament, the really rapid-fire tournament we did the other night. It was like a Saturday night. I was playing Chaos Dwarves, and I just barely lost to the Cathay player. This is him in the Grand Finals here. So, moving on in, Jade Lancer's getting a huge surround. That's a big pick, and look at, man, Yuan Bo going hard in the paint here. Oh, that Slaanesh Sorcerer's on foot. I didn't notice that. Oh, that's a potential disaster as the Jade Dragon has mercy on him and decides he needs to turn around and help elsewhere. But really, really good start for Grand Cathay. Getting a pick on a very expensive unit in those Fiends of Slaanesh. Another one is parked in front. Looks like he was going to be trying to dive through here, but a lapse in micro is going to be allowing the Cathay formation to form up. Granted, it might have been a blessing in disguise because had he dove there, the Halberds were waiting. And it looks like he's just going to be trying to alpha strike the elite archers here, which is exactly what Grand Cathay wants. Fighting in harmony, Halberd support, lots of infantry nearby. Life is good. So in the back, more Cathay Halberds on their way out, including the Dune Dragons, which are the Arwar Halberds, while Yuan Bo continues to attack these Slangors with his bonus versus infantry, doing some nice work. And Grand Cathay is pretty heavily up in value right now, as we do see the Slaaneshi forces trying to use a Slicing Charge there, and doing some very considerable damage against the Jade Warrior Halberds, but they're still, harmonious. They're fighting in formation here, and they should be able to grind down those Fiends of Slaanesh, while the Jade Warrior and Jade Lancer front line, just all sorts of Jade things, are holding back the demonic hordes of Slaanesh. Elsewhere on the battlefield, Pleasure Seekers do get called out, and those things are absolute Terminators, but Yuan Bo does use his Nets of Amatok to lock those things down, so the Slaanesh player is going to have to reissue the order here. Meanwhile, up in the sky, really, really good play from Bagosh, since there's nothing really to defend these, getting some Chaos Furies out to just chew down the Sky Junk, and that's going to force Slaanesh to call out some not Slaanesh, but Cathay, to call out some Long Marauders here in just a minute. So Pleasure Seeker is one of the killiest units in the entire game. They are able to annihilate the front line here. Charging in are the dreaded Boob Snakes, and they're going to move in and tear apart these Jade Lancers and these Jade Warriors. Although they're holding strong for the Dragon Emperor, but probably not going to be holding for that much longer. So up in the sky, the Sky Junk, it has junk in its trunk, but do we see Grand Cathay saving up supplies for Longma, or is he just going to be running right now and sacrificing it? Hard to say. Down to the ground, though, Jade Warriors holding on, but getting flank charged over and over by these Pleasure Seekers is quite painful. And with the devastating flanker and their huge AP damage, they are able to fold up one of the Jade Warriors right there. Meanwhile, in the middle, Grand Cathay really overwhelming Slaanesh. mass amounts of Jade Lancers, and yeah, just using all armored cav, not really seeing peasants. And Jade Warriors and the Dune Dragons now going to be moving over towards Objective 3 to try and bring this game on back. So moving in are the Celestial Dragon Guard. These guys do magic damage and have good AP, honestly making them a good generalist against the Forsaken and very, very good against the Fiends if they can pile in. And a huge wall of Jade coming in. That is a lot of dudes. Dude for the dude god indeed. Now Furies are pretty good against them because of the AP. Slaanesh Furies are also really, really good against Halberds if you can use them in that way. And the mask is going pretty bananas. Oh, there it goes. The Emperor's Executioner getting it done. I haven't seen that in a game in so freaking long. That was awesome. So Yuan Bo did actually get his Executioner ability, which if somebody's low enough HP threshold, below 20%, you can just instantly karate chop them. And it actually did go down in that Slaanesh Lord. Now, Pleasure Seeker is going to be coming back here to try and salvage the game, maybe get a pick on Yuan Bo with the Fiends. It's certainly possible, but he can go Dragon Form and escape it if he needs to. High ground, it looks like Grand Cathay was trying to get that, but they were denied. While Halberd's holding on the middle, Jade Lancer is going to be chasing down Hellstriders, which they will defeat. And here we do see the epicenter of combat as Crowmen are called in. Jade Shield on them, very, very nice. Going to give them some ward save. And the Dune Dragons going to be fighting on the periphery of the fight with their magic damage, chewing down some of the Chaos Furies. And even though they're Halberd, magic damage is still quite nice there. And the Pleasure Seekers are going to be forced back. So looking at the points, Bagosh is ahead. We do see 646, but man, oh man, is he behind in value. And Slaanesh is not a faction that, I mean, they can play okay from behind if it's just a little bit, but if they're quite behind like this, it's tricky because their units are flimsy and don't really trade well in prolonged grinds, with the exception of a couple pieces on the roster. So Halberds hanging out here, while we do see some Jade Lancers as well as some Peasant Horsemen attacking into the Pleasure Seekers right here. Pleasure Seeker is proving to be an absolute menace still, about 800 value, give or take, as Hellstriders do come in on the backside, but they're not anti-large Hellstriders, so not going to be any obscene damage. Junk in the trunk, shooting in, blasting Forsaken. Meanwhile, we do get the Great Longma Riders, and, that's one thing. Great Longma Riders pretty damn good against Slaanesh, because they will, crush the Furies rather quickly, but Slaanesh has always hated flying cavalry units, because they want to be the ones dictating who gets the charges, so when you have, like, Pegasus Knights, or even Longma Riders, to a lesser extent, they can do very, very well here. Yeah, the Pleasure Seeker's doing a little bit of sweeping. Very scary. We're going to need to see, at least from Grand Cathay, a net onto the Pleasure Seekers to really lock them down, although if they move into the Jade Warrior Halberds here, they could get ground down. But I think the Forsaken and the Hellstriders in the back getting enough value here. Actually becoming kind of a contested game a little bit, but still I think pretty Cathay favored as we do see the net go down. No, we don't see the net right now. And the Dune Dragons are going to be heading back to the middle. And here comes the Sorcerer Lord of Slaanesh with the Slicing Shards and the other... I think, yeah, he's got the Pavane. No, Acquiescence. Okay, that's what it's going to be. So Long Riders, just like I said, getting a big aerial charge into the Pleasure Seekers there. And no, I don't think it's a contested game. I think we just, looked here for a second, saw a lot of purple and got excited. But, yeah, looks like here Cathay is going to anchor on Objective 3. We do see the Long Riders getting an excellent charge and really, really breaking down those Pleasure Seekers. And with the Dune Dragons nearby, yeah, they're the Dune Dragons, that's right. They should be able to win that fight. Magic damage Halberds, what's not to love, and that also gives you some nice buffering out against the Forsaken units too. So Long Riders are on the hunt to double cap here for Slaanesh, as we are going to be seeing Yuan Bo coming in. He could drop a net on that Sorcerer and start to bully him again. Sorcerer does have 80 armor, but Yuan Bo is a big AP character. He's not going to care too much about that. Slicing Shards activated. Pleasure Seekers are being taken to Pound Town by the Great Long Riders and are about to disintegrate, looking to be wavering with 700 HP. A very, very elite unit. Tough to break down there. So Longbows and Crowmen, a pretty cool combo. Certainly underrated units on the roster. On this side, Slangor's coming in for the Ninja on the outside. It looks like Cathay has not gotten this point yet. That is one way Cathay does lose games, with very, very sketchy objective play. But the Halberds coming in should provide fresh capture weight, as well as the Jade Lancers. So this objective is going to be flipping a very, very hard once those guys get there. Meanwhile, on the other side, complete domination, basically. We do see the Slaanesh Horde getting taken to town. Slangor's getting broken. Chaos Sorcerer, not going to be that big of a difference maker. And from here, it's probably just GG. It's not, a game where Slaanesh is far enough ahead that they're just going to karate chop and be able to win on just 1 point by being really gremlin-like with their mobility. It's enough. Cathay has enough points on the board here, and we do see the Lord here in a little bit of danger as he's on foot. I wonder if that was a mistake, bringing him on foot. I don't know, Bagosh, if you're watching this, do let me know. Because usually you always see them on the snake mount because it's just so fast and so furious. But over here, it is going to be a flip, as we do see the Chaos Furies and the Slangors. Both are units that, don't want to be getting charged by Jade Lancers and getting charged by Jade Lancers. All right, guys, fast forwarding here a little bit, we do see some of these guys coming in. We'll see if there's any semblance of a comeback here for Slaanesh, as they are yielding the high ground. Cathay does have this point here. Jade Lancer's going to get a beautiful charge, hammering into those guys there. As the Dragon is now in play, and the late game Dragon, certainly not bad. Even though Slaanesh's ITP certainly brings some, big mass and hard-hitting monstrous action to the table. But that's going to be it, right? All three objectives now belong to Grand Cathay. which is not something you hear terribly often. And on the other side, Slaanesh going to be making a play for this with some Pleasure Seekers, it looks like, but it's not going to be enough. GG, well played. Very, very cool game. Awesome to see that Grand Cathay, it's got some chops, piloted by the right player and with these kind of unique tactics, using the elite crossbows to bait in some Slaanesh, the junk to just be a perpetual threat. And Yuan Bo with the executioner ability was really, really badass. I love that. It was super fun. And the Slaanesh build was not bad. It had some, I don't know how much I liked the magic selection. Slicing Charge is good against those formations, but Pit of Shades is just exponentially better. If you're going to go for like nuking, just go for Pit of Shades. Don't mess around. Pit of Shades and Melkoth's is very, very good. Melkoth's against the Cav, the Armored Infantry. Pit of Shades against the Elite Archers. Aside from that, a couple of blunders in the beginning. Like losing a Fiend and having the other one blunderously charge in, I think is what cost him the game. Aside from that, like the build was probably fine, right? It just came down to the execution of some of the units. And against Cathay, it's always, I think, maybe a decent idea to mix in like a Demonette type unit, just like one to come into the late game. If Cathay doesn't have any shooting, it can be very devastating. Granted, the junk as well as some of the other Cav units, I guess, could cycle charge them. But yeah, GG, well played. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this tournament grand final. And ladies and gentlemen, we will see you all on the other side.